I remember seeing these commercials, and I'm sure you remember them too out there, everyone. There was these commercials where these like vines and like these little prickly vines look like big thorn bush vines. They were growing up out of the ground, and these commercials would show the vines growing up on buildings and the Golden Gate Bridge, and it would say, "Coming to America, the sensation that has captivated millions of Japanese, Dragon Quest 8." Okay, Dragon Quest 8. I was kind of psyched about this. I heard about this game. I was like, oh, wow, it's something coming to America. All right, that's, the Japanese are going crazy over it. Okay, well, I have to say, after watching that game, that the Japanese are goddamn insane. That game sucks ass.
Okay, I can't really give my opinion on Dragon Quest 8 since I've never played it, but you just said you only watched it, or did you just trip over your words? You said you watched it, you didn't say you played it, so could you please clarify that or something if you just said the wrong thing or you played it but you accidentally said you watched it. But anyways, if you just watched it, how can you determine if it's a good game or not just by watching it?
I don't know. I mean, I must be missing something. What is so goddamn captivating about that game? The level of just basic stuff that you need to do and get done compared to a game that you would expect from Square, it just wasn't there.
Now, just a point, Dragon Quest wasn't originally made by Square. It was made by Enix before the merger thing between Square and Enix. But anyways, so yeah, that's not technically a Square game, it's an Enix game.
I mean, it was just a lot of random battles of the same enemies that would pop up between the beginning of the game and the end of the game. I mean, I barely even remember this game because this was another game that fell under the list of a goddamn game that I just didn't bother to finish because it sucked.
Okay, I guess there's the clarification.
Okay, a lot of you out there are probably saying, hey man, why is he saying Square hasn't made anything good since Final Fantasy X? They made Kingdom Hearts.
Well, yeah, Kingdom Hearts is a great series, besides Chain of Memories, which was terrible, and 358 over 2 days, which was just subpar, and it was really boring.
You know what? Kingdom Hearts was good. But you know why it was good? Because they hooked up with Buena Vista. You know what that is? That's Disney. That game was basically half Square, half Buena Vista, and it was just unoriginal for them.
Okay, I know crossovers between different works are common and are used way too much these days. A crossover between Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy and Disney, no one ever expected that when it came out. That's why the first one is so beloved, because no one had seen a game like that before that combined elements from Square-Enix and Square, at the time Square and Disney.
Okay, yeah, sure, there was a lot to it, and I'll give them credit. It was a lot better than a lot of the shit that had came out between Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts. But let's conceptually look at this. It's a game where the character has a huge key as a weapon. I heard that right off the bat, and I said, no thanks.
Wow, you refuse to play a game just because the main character wields a key for a weapon, the Keyblade? Don't judge a book by its cover.
Keep that weak shit to yourself. I don't want to play that. Oh, it's got Disney characters in it? Oh, that's great. That's spectacular, because when I think of a role-playing game, I think of Daffy Duck and Goofy fighting beside me. Get that shit out of here, please. I never even played that shit. How you like them apples? So, and you know what? Square doesn't just stop. My criticism of Square doesn't just stop at their video games. Their projects that they have made outside of video games deserve some criticism too. Okay? Oh, and yes, I'm going there. Advent Children. Okay? Oh, sweet Jesus, did I hate that shit. You know why I hate that shit? Just because of the ending.
First of all, it's Donald Duck, not Daffy Duck. And second of all, previously said earlier in the video that you thought Kingdom Hearts was a good game, but now you're saying you've never played the game? You can't judge a game based on what appears in it. you can't determine if it's good or bad by that. You have to play the game for yourself to determine whether a game is good or not.
Okay, I thought it was an average movie at best. I've seen a couple anime things that were on par with that. The fact that this was a movie that had a budget behind it that was tenfold a lot of what the other anime companies in Japan have, okay, I hate the end of it. You know why? Because it ruined the goddamn movie.
I've never seen Advent Children, so I can't really give my opinion on the movie. Yeah, I can understand that with a lot of movies, people get turned off by a certain part of the movie.
Okay, you know, I was kind of stunned when I first saw it. You know, okay, Sephiroth's dead, blah, blah, blah. Cloud basically is, you know, standing on top of that building, and his two buddies that, you know, are supposed to be dead come charging at him. They do, you know, some Palestinian bomber attack, blow up and kill him. I was like, oh, holy shit, that kind of took me off guard. They killed his ass. That's pretty impressive. Damn, I can't believe they went there like that. But no, he doesn't die. They somehow just flash, and I don't know, maybe someone can explain that shit to me, but you know what, don't explain that shit to me, because I don't know, because I don't care, and I don't want to know. They pull him out of the live stream, and he lives! What is the big deal with that? I mean, that makes no sense.
Keyword, the movie is called Final Fantasy Advent Children. It doesn't have to make sense.
Why is he ever fearing death in the movie when they could just take him to that goddamn live stream river and bring his ass back to life? What's the big deal? Have him strap a bomb to himself, give Sephiroth a big Santa Claus how do you do hug, and blow his ass up. Why did they do that in the beginning? They could have made the movie 10 minutes long. So anyways, Advent Children sucked big floppy donkey dong. Okay? Now, what does Square have for the future? Final Fantasy 13. Okay? This is a game that has been in production for over a year now. It was just released on Blu-ray.com that they're going to be releasing a playable preview of the game on Advent Children when it's released on Blu-ray in March of 2009.
So I guess you can't be patient then.
The playable demo is getting released in 2009. I guarantee you, this game will not get released, I would say probably 2011, early 2011.
You were a year off because it came out a year earlier than you expected in March of 2010.
Why would it have to take that long? And you know what? I'm not going to criticize them. Maybe it'll come out earlier. But you know what? I doubt it.
But it did come out earlier. A year earlier.
So, my final thing that I want to cover here, and this is the king piss me off on all of this. The big piss on my Sunday here is, why don't they realize that they are a one-trick pony? Okay? And granted, I'm leaving out a lot of stuff like, you know, Dirge of Cerberus and Jesus Christ, that's been pissed on enough. This company needs to realize what they have done right best has been the past. I'm talking Chrono Cross. I am talking Final Fantasy games on the NES. I'm talking about Final Fantasy's debut on the PS2 with Final Fantasy VII. They need to take these games, they need to revamp them, and they need to release them on the goddamn next generation consoles! What's so hard to do that?
Well, your wish may come true because rumors are right now with the 3DS coming out is that they're remaking Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy VI for the 3DS, so I think that will be cool because now we'll have 5 and 6 with voice acting, which will really increase the quality of the games with the cutting-edge graphics, because 3DS's graphical capability is at least on par with that of the PS2.
Why don't they just do that? Why? Why don't they just do that? That's right. You have the answer. There is no answer. Okay, sure they keep teasing that Final Fantasy VII will be made for PS3.
They just showed that Final Fantasy VII thing was just a technical demo to show the graphical capability of the PS3. It was nothing more than that.
But no, they keep remaking games like Final Fantasy III and a couple other games for handheld consoles. You know what? I don't want the handheld shit. I want to see stuff in high definition graphics. Okay? Everyone has plasma and LCD TVs with 1080 resolution. More and more people, I don't know if you've noticed this, Square, but more and more people are buying shit like Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s.
I mean, I would also like to see them remake Final Fantasy games on the high-definition consoles, but the sad thing is, Square-Enix, most video game companies, care more about the Japanese fan base than the American fan base. In Japan, handhelds are much more popular than console video games, and that's just the sad fact. They're just gonna remake on handheld consoles, really.
Okay, PlayStation 2, NES, PlayStation 1, that's all in the past. Final Fantasy VII, I guarantee you, if that shit was released on a next-gen console, it would be one of the best-selling games that year.
You're right, it probably would be a really good seller for if they remade Final Fantasy VII on PS3. But unfortunately, like I've said, Square Enix cares more about the Japanese fan base than the American fan base.
I would buy that. I played Final Fantasy VII several times, and I hate this goddamn company. But you know what? I would buy their retro shit. I don't know. Maybe they're sitting in their office and they're saying, oh no, we should let the nostalgia value of these games build up. It's too early to release them. That's bullshit. You know what? Those games are going to get more and more buried the more you guys wait. You know why? Because Halo is hip. Gears of War is hip. Computer games are hip. You know what? Your shit is not going to be hip if you let it sit and collect dust.
And unfortunately, that's true because the first-person shooters are the dominant genre of this decade, pretty much. The last decade, in the 90s, the dominant genres were JRPGs and fighting games. Now it's first-person shooters.
Release this shit. Make this shit. Realize that your one-trick pony company was the previous games you've made in the previous century. Because so far, since 2000 struck on my calendar, you guys have made nothing but shit. Granted, okay, some of the games they've made have been considered good, but compared to their track record of making great to phenomenal games, the stuff they've made since 2000 sucks.
You said Final Fantasy X was your favorite game of all time, and that was made in 2001.
So, as my plead, maybe someone from Square would see this. Maybe some dork is sitting in his office in Tokyo and he searches videos, since God knows half of them aren't working on their video games since they take 600 years to come out. Maybe some pencil pusher is watching this from Square. He's going to say, you know what? This guy's got a point. We haven't been making good shit. Let's remake Chrono Cross. Let's remake Chrono Trigger. Let's remake the shit that people bought in the millions. Why do you think Mario still sells? Because they just revamp it. I mean, sure, it's different in a lot of ways, but you know what? In a lot of ways, Mario games are nothing but the same thing every time.
And after that, other than his whole farewell thing, that's pretty much the end of the video, of his video, and I don't really have anything else to say, but this is KHJEDIMASTER signing off.